Hey guys, welcome to the daily analysis for this Thursday. It is February 7th, 2013, and it's about 3:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here. Alright guys, today we had a ton of news that shook up the market quite a bit and left some interesting things behind in the quake. So I want to cover all the different trade setups or trade potentials that I think we have, along with some of the levels that were tested today. You can see the pound dollar jumped up earlier in the day to test that real steep trend line, plus that horizontal level around 157.40. So a couple things like that I want to talk about and see, maybe where we could go from here. And we'll get into all that as soon as we cover our news for tomorrow, and then also quickly go over our terms. Okay. All right, and so for news tomorrow, a little later than we had today, of course. The main stuff is that CAD news that hits. It's unemployment rate, employment change, trade balance. There's three red tag events for the Canadian dollar are all going to hit at 8:30 a.m. So I want to pay attention to those. Also, USD has a trade balance announcement. So a couple things stacked in there. And then lastly, the euro continues the summit. So that's also a red tag event that could, shake up the market quite a bit. So most of those should be dealt with after that initial morning time announcement at 8:30, and then after that, we could expect a pretty quiet Friday. See how the markets drift and how they end up closing, and we'll look forward to see exactly how that all works out. And then of course tomorrow we'll be talking about some of the weekly charts based on everything that finished up on this week. Okay, so that's your news for tomorrow. Alright, next, just want to cover these terms real quickly. And again, basically, the main thing to understand here is that because the United States has put in strict regulations with investment companies like us, we have to make it very clear that we're not investment advisors. This is just a free, great website to give you information based on our personal opinions, and it's not to be taken as investment advice. What you do with your money is ultimately up to you, decided by you, and it's at your own risk and responsibility. Okay, so please understand that. It's very important, again, just because we're under strict regulations, and we want to be upfront and clear on those matters. If you need to pause the video and read through those thoroughly, you can go ahead and do that. At this time, I'm going to move into our charts. Alright, so again, just want to cover pound dollar. We broke through this base here, which is a nice thing. Look to have some bearish momentum. And then today we had to bounce right back up toward 157.40. Kind of a test on this real steep trend line in this horizontal area here. And so that kind of backed down right back into the 157 area. And so basically what we're waiting for from here is continuation to a lower price. Again, I still do think that this is a legitimate level to be targeting on the pound dollar. Haven't really backed off that potential there. So still holding on to the short on pound dollar, just anticipating bearish continuation. Might be a matter of time for this. It could develop slowly with there's some conflicting news announcements and things like that. But I'm still pretty confident that this pound dollar can go much further, and so my short still stands, just waiting to see if we get some continuation there. Euro dollar today had a really nice strong move to the downside. You can see a bar coming all the way down right into our base here. So it could be a bounce area, but more likely looks like it wants to break all the way back down toward our trend line area. So we'll see if this euro weakness is sustained. But right now we're sitting on a decent little support base here, and we could see definitely a continuation bounce from here. But with all the momentum heading down, pretty steep move from that 137 area, looks like we could pretty easily crash through here, come back into a trend line area, and then from that point I would definitely be interested in long euro dollar positions. And of course I'll keep you updated on that and let you know if I do decide to jump in that direction, when the time comes. The yen still hanging right at 93.60. Obviously 2 bars in a row here that didn't really make any movement whatsoever. And so basically the same thing as yesterday. You can't really make a definite move on a pair that's just hanging in no man's land. So we'll wait for either a nice pullback or a break up or something with a little bit of definite movement and momentum in it. Until then, just gonna kind of watch and monitor it and see what it does. Alright, the odd here kind of killing me as I'm still holding on to an odd yen long as it's breaking through some key levels. To me, looks like it wants to head back down toward this base, which is a pretty critical level, and so that's something that I definitely am anticipating for this odd. Could see maybe a bounce and a retest before continuing, but the momentum has finally picked up on the odd. So even though it's showing odd weakness against my odd yen trade, I'm at least glad that the odd is picking up something and doing something. And so that's what I'm looking forward to. A retest of this level, I think, is the biggest level on the chart at this point that could definitely pull price in. And so right at 101, it's basically 101.75 is where I'm looking for odd to head. And then from there, we'll see if it breaks or bounces or whatever it does next. All right, Euro Pound, pretty interesting pair in my opinion. Again, we have these huge bars. Everything's moving on the Euro Pound, all the way up, all the way down, all the way, up and back down again. But what's important to note is that we're actually breaking through some areas now. It's not just chop; we're actually breaking through. Right now, around 85.30, and so if we can continue any momentum here, it looks like this reversal is pretty legitimate. A spike up to 87, and then a very strong reversal on the Euro Pound. Again, really steep and trying to make some move downward. I'm not a big reversal trader. I'm sure I've told you guys that before. Typically, I'm looking for trend continuation, but it'll be interesting to see if this Euro Pound can collapse. Any more movement, maybe if it breaks through 85 here, I'll be looking for some shorts because I wouldn't want to miss the opportunity if it's going to crash all the way down to former bases or something like that. Any big collapse like that, I would like to take advantage of. So the Euro Pound obviously showing a lot of movement to the downside. You can see that we had a strong bar here, was immediately reversed, and then we had a kind of a small inside bar, and now finally some continuation. So two good bars in a row for the first time in a little while, and breaking through some good areas. So Euro Pound, just waiting for a little more movement, and then I'll definitely kind of switch my sentiment to some short potential there to see if I could perhaps capture a reversal. If it does continue downward, I'd probably honor this little upward type of channel here and assume that it could, bounce right off the top of this upward move. And so as it moved down, I'd look to maybe target, 83 or above, depending on how far it got before it was testing that trend line. And so that's something to consider on the Euro Pound as well. USD CAD, nice little bounce off the 38.2. I'm still short on this one, so certainly the bounce didn't do me any favors. But it looks like it, pretty insignificant bounce at this point until it were, to break the top here or somewhere like that. Hopefully, for my sake, it'll just continue right back down, and this is just a small test of the level. But again, the USD CAD, since the nice little reversal sign here, has not really made a good move. It's just kind of starting this little mini channeling again. So that's one that you have to be patient with. For my sake, I'll have to be patient being in the trade, which is probably more frustrating than being patient when not in the trade. But either way, waiting on that one, seeing if we can get a break of that area, heading down toward 99. Just a matter of time, really, on the USD CAD before it breaks one way or another with some serious momentum. Okay, and I'll finish up with the Pound New Zealand again today. Pretty good bounce off this area, which is not really a major surprise. It's a pretty good support level on the weekly chart. And so I am still definitely thinking short. What I need, obviously, here is for this to be a small retrace and then a good continuation through these levels. I'm very much okay with the retrace. As a matter of fact, I'd probably prefer a retrace than just a straight break. So that's what I'm waiting for. I'm going to be patient. My bias is definitely not long until we're to break all the way up through this level, so it's got a long ways to go before I think long again. So just waiting, to see if this is a nice classic pullback and continuation pattern. If so, I'll be more than happy to get short on the Pound New Zealand. And again, I'll be letting you know if that's the case via Twitter or the next day in the analysis or whatever means you have of following me. I'll be letting you know. Okay, guys, so that's it for the analysis. I hope that it was beneficial to you. And as always, any comments or thoughts, leave below. If you don't mind tweeting and sharing, I really appreciate that as well. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow when we go over our weekly charts.